Hi, my name is Megan Schlickman. I'm the owner of Nexus Financial. We specialize in bookkeeping and taxes for clients that use both Jobber and QuickBooks Online. We do sync the two softwares, and depending on our clients' needs, whether we continue that sync or discontinue that sync is really on an as-need basis. But if you're wondering how the sync works and how to perfect it, then I am definitely the person you can reach out to help answer some of those questions. What we're looking at today is I want to do a deep dive to see if this potential client is duplicating their income, not on purpose. They came to me saying, hey, some of our income in our P&L looks really high. We don't feel like we've made that much money. We're not seeing that much money. Possibly this is a cash flow issue. We're kind of diving into it. So when I was doing my research with them, they let me know that they only invoice through Jobber. They don't invoice through QuickBooks. So what that tells me is that they should only be collecting income to one income category inside of QuickBooks, and that all of their clients do get invoiced, that they are not receiving checks without invoices, and that all payments are being marked off in Jobber first, and then that sync is moving over to QuickBooks. So knowing this background information that they only use Jobber to send out invoices and collect payment via check or Jobber payments, then when I'm looking at their P&L, the first thing I'm possibly suspecting is that this sales smaller account, potentially either some or all of it is duplicated income. I'm going to teach you how to look through that and see if it is duplicated, as well as how to fix it or how to reach out to us if you want to pass that off. So let's dive right on in. If I click onto this sales account, then we are brought into this transaction report, which shows me all of the deposits, possibly the names if they're tied to the deposits, what kind of transaction it was, and the dollar amount, and then the gaming balance on that. This is for 2024. Again, I haven't worked with this client before, so this work is either client work or possibly working with their previous accountant. And knowing that they match all of their income properly in the bank transaction screen, I'm not loving that I'm seeing a ton of deposits from Jobber and ATM deposits. So when they match inside of the bank transaction screen, we shouldn't have these duplicates because these are already listed as invoices into the services section. So for example, if I open up a Jobber, again, I don't know if these are duplicated. We're going to take a minute and look. And what I'm seeing here is one good thing and one not good thing. First things first, it is matched to a online bank deposit. So the good part is that this is not bringing in extra deposits, if that makes sense. So it is matching to something that QuickBooks is pulling in, but the one thing I don't like is that it's not matching off to any invoice inside of Jobber, and it is just into a sales account. So the issue with this, and again, this is a big issue, is that this pulls over the amount that Jobber gives you. It doesn't push over the full invoiced amount. So if I invoice somebody for $300 and I receive $286.76 after Jobber takes out their fees, I would technically be underreporting my income because I'm not saying, hey, I made $300. I'm only saying I made $286. Now, of course, the corresponding $14 or so of transaction fee is a business tax deduction. Again, talk to your tax preparer if that applies to you. So this income would not necessarily affect our net income, but our true income amount coming in through the business is not being reported correctly. So I'm starting to think that this is possibly duplicated income. And just to review, I'm going to take another random example just to see if we're seeing some of the same information. And same thing here, we do have a good thing that this is an online banking match, but there are no invoices that it's matching to, and that is alarming to me. So with that, again, possibly this was invoiced for maybe $350, and they're only seeing $334 of it. We're not fully reporting our income. This is probably not being matched to the invoice. And instead, if I take a look at that services section, the transaction screen, I should be able to find the same invoice with the full amount listed in there marked as paid, but it would not be matched to a bank deposit. So how are we going to fix that? I'll teach you in just a second. So let's go back to our first original transaction that we looked at, 168.65. And what I'm looking for, since this was matched to a bank deposit, I'm going to go look at the bank transactions and see if I can find this and see what's going on with it. So coming back to the bank transactions, you're going to find the bank account that you're collecting income into. And instead of the for review section, I want you to hop on over to the categorized section. From there, inside of the search box, put in the dollar amount you're looking for, and it does need to be specific. So if I just typed in 168, these amounts would not pop up. But if I do look for 168.65, 3 options pop up, one of those being the ones that I just looked at from our profit and loss. With that, I can see some differences here. One of these is matched to, and then these bottom 2 are only added to, and they were added because of an auto add rule with Jobber. This is for sure confirming with me that, hey, possibly the invoice is inside of QuickBooks and this is duplicated income because it was auto added to Jobber, and the auto add rules do not know how to match 2 Jobber payments correctly. So to me, I need to find this exact invoice inside of Jobber, figure out what invoice that is, and match this payment to it. All right, so I headed on over to Jobber. I went to the payout reports, the Jobber payout reports. I filtered for the dates inside of January that I want to review, and I found the same exact payout for $168.65 on January 25th. At the bottom here, it's going to give you the information of who made that payment, and just as I suspected, the gross amount is different than the net amount, and we must report the gross amount in our total income, and the fee is for sure going to be a tax deduction expense for our client in this case. But I want to get some more information on what invoice was paid. So if you select on this line item, a little information window will pop up, and I can see that this is for invoice 192. I'm going to head on over to QuickBooks to see if, one, this invoice synced on over to QuickBooks properly, if there's already a payment to that invoice, and if it has been deposited, then that is for sure that we are duplicating income. So here's the invoice for that client. We are going to see invoice 192, and that the dollar amounts are correct. So 174, and the payment received was 174. So if you click on this one blue payment, you should remember that the payment that we were just looking at was for a different dollar amount. It was for 168, not 174. So I'm opening up this payment information. It has the same client number, the same invoice number, the same invoiced amount as well. And this has a blue hyperlink showing us that it was deposited on the same date. So again, this is telling me that this is probably duplicated income. To verify, I'm going to find this in the P&L, and from there, we are going to have to unmatch this payment to our invoice and instead match the correct Jobber pulled over payment. So let's take a look at our P&L really quick just to verify, just to check all of our boxes off first. So if you remember, we were inside of sales, and I can show you again, this is the amounts that I think are being duplicated. We see this 168.65 listed on January 25th. And then if I go back to our P&L and I open up our services line item, I am going to see our invoice 192, so that it had 2 line items, and then the grand total is going to be 174 for the 2 of those. So again, this income is being counted twice. So that verifies my suspicion. So let's go over how to fix it. We're going to go back to our bank transaction screen within the categorized and find that same one. So this one is added incorrectly. We don't have the full dollar amount, and we need to get it to the full dollar amount. This is probably reconciled, so when I select undo, I'm probably going to get an alert that this will throw off my reconciliation, and I expect that. So yes, you already reconciled this. Saving your changes may make your reconciliation inaccurate. I need to continue anyways. From there, we just send it back to the for review section, and I'm going to go find that in the for review section. All right, inside of the for review section, again, you can filter by dollar amount if needed. And here it is, ready to review. The dollar amount that hit the bank account is still $168.65, but it's not the amount we fully received. So it does pop up with 2 matches here, which is a pretty good sign. And this is the one that I believe is probably most accurate because it's the same date, and the one on January 8th was just invoiced for the same dollar amount. So I'm going to click on this blue hyperlink to see what information I find. And when I open it up, we're going to see there's no blue hyperlink, meaning it's not matched to a bank deposit yet, but that is literally what we're doing right now. And the good thing is that it is being automatically matched to a invoice for the full dollar amount of what we received. And then if we scroll down, we have the jobber payment fee amount fully deducted so that the totals do match. This is the deposit I want it matched to. The names match what's on the invoice, and this is how we are going to save it. So instead of save and new, I'm going to come to this caret drop down and hit save and close. Now the interesting part is that we need to fix the reconciliation first, and then I'm going to check the P&L for afterwards. So if you head on over to your reconcile screen, you're going to get an alert that it is off by that dollar amount, and that is exactly what I expect. If I head on over to the bank register and filter for the same dollar amount of $168.65, we are going to see this dollar amount for January 25th, and then I just want to make sure that it is for all. Okay, so this is the one I do want to reconcile, and hit save. And if we go back to our reconcile screen, that alert should no longer be there, meaning that we are reconciled. All right, final step, just to double check our work. We're going to go back to the P&L and look at that sales and the services section and make sure that that deposit is only listed once. Here's back to our P&L if we're looking at sales, and I want to scroll down. I don't see $168.65 on $125. That is fantastic. And if I do look inside of the services section, then the same dollar amounts are listed here. And again, these totals are for the same invoice number, so that would equal our 174. So I'm going to go through one by one to fix up all of those possibly duplicated income, making sure they're matching to invoices listed here. And then that's how we're going to make sure that our income is not being overstated, that we're not paying taxes on extra income, that we're not reporting false amounts. And again, if you are confused, if you have questions, if you are overwhelmed, if you want a one-on-one training, please reach out to me. I'll list my email in the description box below for you to reach out. And good luck on updating your Jobber in QuickBooks. Thank you so much for watching.